Hello all. As I mentioned in my last video regarding New Comic Book Day from today, October 6th, I had missed a month, so I figured, you know what, why not go through some pickups that I got in the last month? Let's talk about them. This video will be mainly DC, and then I'll talk about Marvel in a different video later down the road. So let's go over some DC pickups from September. So September had Batman Day, and one of the shops that I normally frequent in Reading, Massachusetts, comically speaking, did 25% off all Batman and Batman-related titles. So I picked up a few there. So I'm just going to go over some things. First, we have Batman 397. I really like this Two-Face cover. Honestly, I love Two-Face. He's one of my favorite Batman villains. And you know what? Any chance I get to have a cover with him that it looks this badass, I'm going to take it. This is a grail book for me. I am so ecstatic that I was able to get this. I actually got this off of a Facebook marketplace sale. Batman 423 with the classic Todd McFarlane cover. I am so glad to finally have this in my possession. I never thought I'd be able to hold this. I had seen it in a few places, but I never took a shot. But I am so happy to get this. I'm going to end up getting this graded or at least frame it. It's just that beautiful. Next up, Batman 441, which is a classic story. It's one of the parts of the Lonely Place of Dying storyline. That was the transition from Jason to Tim after Jason's demise. Next up, some Batman from the current run. Batman 112 and 113. Fear State's been awesome. I believe this was one of the books that started it. It's been really good so far. I really love Scarecrow and the Peacemakers, like I said. I'm excited to see where this goes because I've heard that at the end of the Batman Fear State that Bruce is going to leave Gotham, especially now that Jace is Batman as well. So let's see what happens after Fear State. Speaking of Jace, we also have I Am Batman #1. So I got the regular cover here, which honestly, I think Jace is such a badass Batman, especially with the face covering. It's so cool. So I got the regular cover as well as, speaking of Todd McFarlane, the homage variant by Tyler Kirkman of Jace Fox as Batman in that great cover. We got Batman 89 #2. This has been a great storyline so far. It's awesome to see the continuation of the Burtonverse, and this takes place after Batman Returns, so we do have a surprise of Selina. Spoiler alert, obviously. We have Selina back. So Bruce meets Selina again. So let's see. I'm excited to see where this goes in the next issue. So I got this cover, the regular cover, as well as 2 copies of this. It's by Mitch Grades. This is probably one of my favorite covers ever, and it just came out. Honestly, like, how can you get more Batman than this? Like, first of all, Michael Keaton is Batman, one of my favorites. And also the hanging upside down, kind of, I would say, a homage to that classic scene from Batman, between dropping Jack in the chemicals, as well as, I mean, he's a bat, so of course he hangs upside down. So I really love this cover. I'm probably going to go get it graded, and I have multiples. I have no regrets on that. Next up, as I mentioned, Puzzle Box. It was one of those stories that I did give up. The first issue was decent. Second issue, I mean, like I mentioned, I wanted to like it more than I actually did. I mean, it was an interesting concept that they had the Joker, someone was murdered, and it wasn't the Joker, and we were trying to figure out who it was. But at the same time, the story just never got there, and to me, it wasn't enjoyable. An enjoyable book, Future State Gotham. Josh Williamson, as I mentioned, great writer, taking over as Batman's head writer. This story has to do with Future State and kind of the future of Gotham with Jace as Batman. So this has been a great book. It is all in black and white, but it doesn't take anything away from the story. Like, it's pretty cool. Superman Batman 22. This is another story book that I stopped buying for a little bit. I only got this because Mixelpick and Calendar Man were on it, and I mean, I love a good Calendar Man story. But the last storyline, I think I mentioned this in a video from the past, I stopped buying the books for a little bit just because the story, especially after Williamson left, the story kind of dropped off for me. And I read the annual. It was decent, but it just wasn't doing it for me. So I'm probably going to give this a little bit more time. And if the content doesn't get there, I'm going to give it up. Josh Williamson again, Infinite Frontier #6. Infinite Frontier was amazing. I'm excited to see what happens next. We're going to get Justice League Incarnate with all these same characters coming up, I think, next month. And I'm very excited. I am so excited for the more continuation of this story. Again, I love Tom Taylor. We got some Nightwing covers. This first one came in a mystery pack. So, and you know what? I am glad to get it. I love the little heartless Nightwing. And then we have this beautiful cover with Hallie at the fire hydrant wagging her tail, and Dick checking his phone. It's awesome. These books have been great. Nightwing was one of those books that I gave up for a little bit, and then when Joker War came on, it came back. Rick Grayson. And then since Tom Taylor has taken over, I have not missed an issue. So if you haven't picked up Nightwing, it's great. Check it out. So as mentioned, Batman Day, I checked out a few different stores, so I was able to get an entire run of the first Robin series, starring Tim Drake. 50 cents an issue. How can you beat that? And then the second series of Robin with this cool holo card. And speaking of Robin, we also have Robin number 6, which is the continuation of the League of Lazarus tournament. This has been a great story so far. If you haven't checked out Robin, definitely pick it up. Pick up the first trade. It is awesome. No matter how you feel about Damian, it is such a great story. Next up, Batman and Catwoman number 6. This has been a great storyline. The first couple issues, it took me a little bit to figure out what kind of time period we were in, because it goes through 3 different periods. But it's been really good so far. Tom King kills it. Clayman with the art, especially some of the shots of Joker and the Phantasm. Like, it's beautiful. Batman Urban Legends number 7. This had the first story in this was the Batman Beyond, which is going to lead into the new Batman Beyond series. First of all, look at that beautiful cover with Terry on it. It's going to lead into the new Batman Beyond series, which I am such a stan for Batman Beyond. That was one of the first cartoons that I was able to actually watch, like, as a knowing child. Like, of course, like, I watched the Batman animated series when I was younger, but I never really understood it. I never grasped it for what it was. But Batman Beyond was the first show that I was able to grasp it and realize how amazing it was, and not just, oh my god, this is cool. Like, I really got to understand and see, like, that. I mean, with that first scene with Bruce and the gun and giving up the mantle of Batman, that first episode, like, it's just such a perfect episode, and I love the series. I wish we got more Batman Beyond. I really loved the last arc that we had a while back. I think Dan Jurgens did it. But I love Terry. I really hope there's more Terry McGinnis in the future. And, I mean, we are getting a new storyline, so let's go Batman Beyond. We also have Detective Comics 667 with this beautiful Azrael Batman cover. Such a stand for Batman covers. Next up, Detective Comics 1043. This story interweaves with the Fear State. This has Bruce, Batman, going with the mayor, trying to, like, save him. Because the mayor basically is the reason why the magistrate is such in charge, and that's what gave Scarecrow, again, spoilers, the access to cause the Fear State. Joker number 7. These covers are killing it, and in all honesty, it's one of the only reasons why I'm keeping this series. The series... Joker, I mentioned this in one of my older videos with Puzzle Locks. Joker is a great character. I love his stories. But, I mean, part of the issue is these books are, like, this is $5.99, and some of the books go for $6.99 or $4.99. It's just, it's hard to substantiate spending that much. I know I bought all these comics, and I'm going through a lot of comics, and of course, I do spend money on them. I spend my own money on them. But, and I spend all my money, I spend money on the ones above me too. But it's hard to substantiate spending this much on one book that comes out monthly when it's not a lot of story. Like, obviously, and I'm going to go into a rant about this, of course, because, I mean, this is a book that a lot of people are talking about specifically for this reason. Joker is it started off at such a high, but the reason why the price is so high is because not only do we just have the main story, but we have these backup stories as well. Sometimes there's 1, sometimes there's 2. And is that enough to justify the price increase? Or should they just have those pages be more of the story. Like, I feel like this issue, like, only about half of it is the main story, whereas the other half is tie-ins or other stories that have nothing. I mean, it does have to do with the Joker, but I'd rather see more of Joker and Gordon together and Vengeance and the Court of Owls and see what happens. Not, I don't really need to see Punchline in jail. It's been cool, don't get me wrong, but I don't need to see it. But let me know what you think of the current prices of comics right now is going so high, and are these companies justifying it by the content that they're giving us? Because, I mean, some stories, $3.99. I mean, when Rebirth came out, they were strict. DC was strict and said, we're going to have all our books be $2.99. That is what we are doing. And then some of them increased to $3.99. Whereas when we got the $2.99 books, it was $2.99 for a bi-monthly book. And then it turned to $3.99 for a once-a-month book. And their prices just keep going up and up. And it's hard to justify spending this much. I have already given up some titles because of the price going up so high. And if it continues, I might stop buying a lot of stuff altogether. Which, at one point, it's good financially, but at the same time, like, I'm missing out on these awesome stories. So it's hard to justify when I'm spending this much on one book when I used to be able to get 3 books for the price of 1 now. I picked up some old Flash covers. So we have this first one where he works for the IRS. And we have this other one where he's stuck in a snow globe. Again, 50 cents an issue. You can't beat it. You can find a lot in your comic book shops, in your local comic book shops, 50-cent bin. There was definitely a lot more, and I got some pretty good issues. So definitely, and you can find some grails in there. The shop that I go to for that bin specifically had Darkhawk #1 in there. And that is the grail among grails, if in some people's opinions. Speaking of Flash, so we have some Flash from the current run where Wally West is the Flash. We also have second printing of Superman, Son of Kal-El #1. I have the first issue right there behind me. But I just love this cover. And again, Tom Taylor can do no wrong. And I also have issue #3 where John is behind bars. This is probably my fiance's favorite cover. We got Superman and Lois looking all cute and in love with all the pink hearts. Obviously, I'm sure some people didn't like this, but I loved this cover. It just screams what Superman is. Superman loves Lois Lane more than anything in this world. I mean, he does love humanity, but this was amazing. I probably will get this, like, either frame it or get it graded so I can put this up there. And lastly, we have Green Lantern Annual #1 from 2021, where Jessica Cruz becomes a part of the Sinestro Corps. And in all honesty, I haven't really read a ton of Green Lantern, but I did read a lot of Green Lantern when she was the head of the storyline with Simon Baez. And it's great. I love Jessica Cruz's character. I'm interested to see how she joined up with the Sinestro Corps. And I mean, it was a great storyline. And I believe she actually has both the green and the yellow now. So it's really cool. And I mean, this cover was amazing. So that's all I have for DC books from the backlog. So let me know what you thought. Let me know if you read any of these issues, what you thought of some of this stuff, what you think of DC and their pricing and comic books in general. So thank you for watching.